Welcome to Miss Lori's Stories and Drawing. It is Tuesday, April 75th or something like that. And we're going to do some talking and reading about birds today, different kinds of birds. So I have a few different books that we're going to read, and we're going to learn how to draw a rooster, because that's a bird, right? Do you have chickens? Does anyone have chickens? So that is what we're going to do today. Hi, Mom. So, and there's my cousin Sue. Awesome. Good to see you guys. So, the first book that I'm going to read today is another P.D. Eastman book. This is one of my favorite authors that wrote books for Dr. Seuss. Isaac, hi. Good to see you, buddy. This is called The Best Nest, and it is about some birds that want to make a nest. You may have birds starting to make nests where you live, because it's spring. Here we go. Okay. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house. I love my nest. In all the world, my nest is best. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It is not the best nest, she said. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. Look, they see a hole in a tree. But somebody else had already moved in there. That's a raccoon. So they looked for another house. Ooh, this looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. Is that going to be an okay one? But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. That's a mailbox. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. Here it is, right here. Look at, there's a church, and there's a little bit of an opening they can get in up there in the steeple. They flew in, they looked around. Isn't it too big, said Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they went and got some hay. Then they got some soda straws and broom straws, and even some sweater string. Look at that poor guy. They're taking it right off of him. Hi, guys. They got some stocking string and some mattress stuffing. And they got some horse hair. Look, that horse doesn't look too happy about them taking his tail hair, huh? And they even got some of this guy's hair. Soon they had all the hay, the straw, the string, the stuffing, and the horsehair, and all the man hair they could carry. They took it back to start building their nest. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. This nest is really the best, said Mrs. Bird. Oh, I want to stay here forever. Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew up to the top of his house. He sang his song again. I love our house, I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is best. He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker walking down the road. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly, and it's still going. Bong, bong, bong. Have you ever heard church bells like that? They're very loud. When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess. Hay and string and stuffing and horsehair were manhair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high. He looked low. He looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. All through the town. He looked down into a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Then he saw a big fat cat, and he had a big fat smile on the fat cat's face, and there were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Mr. Bird began to cry. "Oh dear," he cried, "has this big fat cat eaten Mrs. Bird?" Mr. Bird flew off. "I'll never see Mrs. Bird again," he cried. It was getting dark and it began to rain. Look, he's crying. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. "I'll go inside," said Mr. Bird, "and I'll rest here until the rain stops." Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing, "I love my house, I love my nest, in all the world the nest is best." "You're here," gasped Mr. Bird. "I thought you hated this old nest." Mrs. Bird smiled. "I used to hate it," she said, "but a mother bird can change her mind, you see. There's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird. Look at, what did she lay? She laid an egg." Hi, Adita. And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too. Baby bird. Cute, right? So that's The Best Nest by P.D. Eastman. Okay, the next book I'm going to read to you is about another kind of bird. It's called When the Rooster Crowed. So roosters are chickens. Roosters are boy chickens. Isaac, you have chickens. Does anyone else have chickens? My mom had chickens when she was growing up. She had roosters and chickens. And I built a chicken coop one time. Not by myself, but I did. My sister has chickens. Lots of people have chickens. I don't live in my brother has chickens. So sometimes we get eggs. Chickens lay eggs and we can eat them for breakfast. It's awesome. Okay, here we go. When the sun came over the hill, the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" 10 more minutes, said the farmer. When the cow said, "Moo," the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" 5 more minutes, said the farmer. Do you ever have to get up and you don't want to get up? Miss Lori's like that a lot. When the horse went, "Nay," the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" "Just a few more minutes," said the farmer. Look, the cat's even trying to wake him up. When the pigs went, "Oink, oink, oink, oink," the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" 1 more minute, said the farmer. When the chicken said, "Cluck, cluck, cluck," the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" 1/2 a minute, said the farmer. Look, there's baby chicks with the mama chick. And look, now the dog and the cat are on the bed, trying to wake him up. When the farmer's wife yelled, "Albert!" the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" "In a second," said the farmer. Oh my. There's a cat and a dog and I think another cat, and there's 2 puppies running by and another one under the bed. They have a lot of animals. But when the cow said, "Moo," and the horse said, "Nay," and the pig said, "Oink, oink," and the chicken said, "Cluck, cluck, cluck," "Cluck, cluck, cluck, boo," "Nay," "Oink, oink, oink," and the raven's even saying, "Caw." "Albert!" And the farmer's wife yelled, "Albert," and the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" at all the same time. The farmer said, "All right." Ooh, he's got major bedhead and kind of an angry face. He jumped out of bed. He pulled on his clothes. He milked the cow and fed the horse and slopped the pigs and gathered the eggs and sat down for breakfast. The end. So farmers don't get to just sleep in because their animals are counting on them to get up. All those animals can't feed themselves, right? So they have to wait for the farmer to get up to feed them. And if he doesn't get up, then they get kind of mad. And that's what all those noises were all about, right? So today we're going to draw a rooster. We're going to use our Ed Emberley book again. And maybe we'll draw a rooster and a chicken because they're both here on the page. And so get your pencil, paper, crayons, whatever you have. Miss Lori's going to use a black Sharpie because that's my favorite. And we're going to draw together. So we just use simple shapes to draw. You don't have to be a great drawer to do this. Everyone can do it. So here is, we're gonna do the rooster first. Are you ready? Okay, so we're gonna do a straight line, and then we're gonna do a curved line underneath that. Okay, another name for this is a semicircle. It's like half of a circle. It's got a straight line and a curved line. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna draw the rooster's neck. We're gonna go straight up, and then we're gonna make like a triangle. So a triangle has 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, and it's there on the front part of the body, okay? Now the next thing we're gonna do is draw 2 more triangles down here, and these are going to be the top of the rooster's legs. So they're not too big, not too small. And then we're gonna draw 2 more triangles at the top of the rooster's neck up here. These are going to be his beak. 1, 2, and then I didn't make a very good triangle there, but his eye is right there. So see, it's not perfect, but that's okay, because if I draw another one, I can draw it better. Now we're gonna draw a curved line up here. And then we're gonna do a wavy line like this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And that's called his comb. Roosters have a comb on top of their head. It's not a real comb that you comb your hair with, but that's what it's called. Then we're gonna come here down on his body and we're gonna draw a wing. We're gonna do a W, like a soft W like that. 2 curved lines. How's he looking? I think he needs some legs. What do you think? He's got the top part. Let's do the bottom part. We'll just do a straight line down, and then chickens have like little, we're gonna do 3 little lines to look at like their feet. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then roosters are really known for having really pretty colorful feathers on the back of their body. So we're gonna do feathers like this. 1, 2, 3, and you can do more if you want to. And you can go back and color those in. You could color the whole rooster in, right? So there is your cute little rooster. And so this is a boy chicken called a rooster. And then over here, let's draw a hen, H-E-N. That's what a girl chicken is called. Hi, Emmett. Hey, Jessica. Oh, the Kinkies are watching. Good to see you guys. We're just drawing chickens. Now, my sister's, Paige's kids get to see chickens all the time. So now we're going to draw a hen, and we're going to start the same way. We're going to do a straight line and a curved line. The hen has the same shape body as the rooster. Okay, do you have that? And I wanted to let you know I'm going to be uploading these videos to YouTube when we're done every day, so that people who don't have Facebook can see them. So if you know anybody who you think might like to watch them, or if you want to watch them again there, the channel is called Miss Lori's Stories and Drawing, and you can watch them on YouTube. Or some people have, they can watch YouTube on their television sets so they can watch it bigger. That might be something you want to do too. Okay, so next. So we're gonna do a triangle for the hen too, but hers is gonna be smaller. She's gonna have a smaller triangle. It's not quite as tall as the rooster. Okay. And then we're gonna do off the front of the same thing. We're gonna do her. She gets one. We're gonna do one big triangle like that for her beak. And she's gonna get a little comb on her head too, but it's gonna be smaller. So curved line. And then doop, and then put a little eye on there. You can put a line on her beak if you want to. And then we're gonna come here and do a little feathered wing on her body there. And we're not gonna do these big legs on her. She has smaller legs, she's more petite. So she's just gonna get 2 straight lines and then the 3 short lines for her feet. And then on the back, instead of a big fluffy tail, she's just gonna get a little triangle like that. And then you can go back and you can color your hen different colors. You can color your hen, some hens are kind of a reddish brown, some of them are white, some are black and white. Did you know that different kinds of hens lay different colored eggs? Some chickens lay green eggs and blue eggs, and some lay brown eggs, and some lay white eggs. So it's very cool. So there's a rooster and a hen. Okay, now I have a joke for you. Actually, it's kind of a riddle. You ready? Okay, Now, you know what a barn looks like, right? Let's see if I had one in my book here. A barn is kind of it's a big building, and it has a pointy roof on the top. Let's see if there's a picture of a barn in my book. There's not really a picture of a barn in here. It's all close-ups. Okay, so a barn has a roof like this, okay? So it's very pointy. So if a rooster goes up on top of the very tippy top of the barn and it lays an egg, which side of the barn is that egg gonna roll down? The left side or the right side? That's a riddle. Do you want to know the answer? I bet some of you already do. The answer is roosters don't lay eggs. Did I trick you? Only hens lay eggs. The boys don't lay eggs, only the girls do. Okay, that was just a silly trick. I have another book about a bird, but it's also about our friends. It's about our friends Gerald and Piggy. And this book says, there is a bird on your head. And look at Gerald. He is looking up because there's a bird on his head. So this is another book by Mo Willems. We love him. There is a bird on your head. Here we go. The friends are just sitting enjoying their day together. And a bird flies down. Piggy? Is something on my head? Yes. There's a bird on your head. There's a bird on my head? Ah! The bird kind of flew off. Is there a bird on my head now? No. Now there are two birds on your head. Gerald does not look happy about that. And Piggy's like, what can I do? What are two birds doing on my head? Oh, looks like they're kissing. And Piggy says, they're in love. The birds on my head are in love. They are lovebirds. Lovebirds? How do you know they're lovebirds? They're making a nest. Two birds are making a nest on my head? That's even a worse idea than making a nest in a belfry, huh? Why would two birds make a nest on my head? I'm afraid to ask. Oh my goodness, they've really made a nice nest up there. Do I have an egg on my head? Is there eggs? Yep. 1, 2, 3. You have 3 eggs on your head. Hey, look, Piggy is sitting on Gerald's trunk. That's a nice little swing. I do not want 3 eggs on my head. Then I have good news. The eggs are gone? The eggs are hatching. Oh, goodness. Hatching? The eggs on my head are hatching? Cheep, 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 cheep. They have hatched. Now I have 3 baby chicks on my head. Yeah, and 2 birds and a nest. I do not want 3 baby chicks, 2 birds, and a nest on my head. Oh, well, where do you want them? Somewhere else! Oh, goodness. Look, there's even a worm up there. Why not ask them to go somewhere else? Ask them? Yeah, ask them. Okay, I will try asking. Excuse me, birds, will you please go somewhere else? Oh, sure, no problem. Look, the mommy and the daddy took the nest. Bye. It worked. Now there are no birds on my head. Thank you, Piggy. Thank you so very much. You're welcome. Uh-oh, where did they go? They went under Piggy's head. That is funny. Well, some birds, I guess, don't know where to make a good nest sometimes, huh? Oh, I'm an egghead, huh? Oh, okay. Or they're eggheads. I think you meant they're eggheads. Okay. So, we have read The Best Nest by P.D. Eastman. We read When the Rooster Crowed by Nancy Winslow Parker and Patricia Lilly. And then There's a Bird on Your Head by Mo Willems. And now we get to start our new chapter book, we are up to chapter book, the Magic Tree House number 15. This one is called Viking Ships at Sunrise. And today we're going to read the first 2 chapters of this book. Morgan told Jack and Andy to come back in a couple of weeks, and the treehouse will be back for them. So it says at sunrise. So sunrise is the time of day when the sun first starts to show, and that's the time of day this book was taking place, right? Because at sunrise on the farm, that's when the animals wake up and want to eat, and the rooster crows to kind of get everybody woken up, especially the farmer. So sunrise is early in the morning, and I don't usually see sunrise that much because I don't really like the early morning. That's okay. I like nighttime. Okay, so the first chapter, Viking Ships at Sunrise, and I always show you the pictures whenever they have them, okay? Before dawn, Jack opened his eyes. A thin gray light came in through the window. His clock read 5 a.m. All was quiet. Today we're going to ancient Ireland, he thought, back more than 1,000 years. Morgan Le Fay had told him that it was a very dangerous time with Vikings raiding the coasts. "You wake," came a whisper. Annie stood in the doorway. She was dressed and ready to go. "Yeah, me outside," said Jack, and he climbed out of bed. He pulled on his jeans, a t-shirt, and sneakers. He put his secret library card into the backpack and notebook and pencil. Then he hurried downstairs. Annie was waiting for him in their yard. The air was damp and misty. "Ready?" she asked. Jack took a deep breath. "I guess," he said. He was a little worried about seeing Vikings. They walked silently over the dewy grass, then they ran up their street and into the Frog Creek woods. Mist clung to the trees as they walked through the dark woods. "It's hard to see," said Jack. "Where's the treehouse?" said Annie. "I have no idea," said Jack. Just then something fell in front of them. "Watch out!" yelled Jack, and he covered his head. "Oh, it's the ladder!" cried Annie. Jack opened his eyes. The rope ladder from the Magic Tree House dangled in front of them. Jack looked up. The treehouse was hidden in the mist. "Come on, let's go," said Annie. She grabbed the ladder and started up, and Jack followed. They climbed through the wet air and into the treehouse. "Hello," said Morgan. "I'm glad to see you." She was sitting in the corner, and at her feet were the scrolls they'd brought back from the Roman times and the bamboo book from ancient China. "I'm so glad to see you," said Jack. "Me too," said Annie. "It's good that you both came early," said Morgan. She reached into the folds of her robe and pulled out a piece of paper. "Here's the ancient story you must find today," she said. Morgan handed the paper to Jack, and on it were the words, Serpens Magna, the mysterious writing. Oops, I'm going to show you the picture. So here's the picture. There's Morgan Le Fay. She's the librarian, and then there's Annie and Jack. They're master librarians now, and they're going to get to go to ancient Ireland, and they're going to look for the title right here. And it says, the mysterious writing reminded Jack of the writing from their trip to the Roman town of Pompeii. "That looks like Latin," he said. "Very good," said Morgan. "It is Latin." "But I thought they spoke Latin in ancient Rome," said Annie. "Aren't we going to Ireland?" "You are," said Morgan. "But during the Dark Ages in Europe, educated people wrote in Latin." "The Dark Ages?" said Jack. "Yes, the time after the fall of the Roman Empire," said Morgan. "Why is it called dark?" said Jack. "Well, it was a difficult time," said Morgan. "People had to work very hard just to feed and clothe themselves. There was not a lot of time for playing, learning, or making art and music." Morgan pulled a book from her robe. "Your research," she said, handing it to Annie. The title of the book was Ireland Long Ago. "Remember," said Morgan, "your research book will guide you, but in your darkest hour, only the ancient story can save us," Jack and Annie said together. "And remember this," said Morgan, "it must be your darkest hour, when there is no hope left. If you ask for help too soon, it will not come." "And we have to find the story first," said Annie. "That is true," said Morgan. "Do you have your secret library cards?" Jack and Annie nodded. "Show them to the wisest person that you meet," said Morgan. "Don't worry," said Annie. "I think we're ready now." Annie pointed at the cover of the Ireland book. "I wish we could go there," she said. She gave Morgan a little wave. "See you soon." "Good luck," said Morgan. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Say it with me. Absolutely still. Jack opened his eyes. The light was still gray, but the air was even damper and colder than in Frog Creek. "Wow, I'm in a long dress," said Annie. Hey, it's kind of scratchy. I've got a little purse on my belt and my library card's in it. Jack looked down at his own clothes. He was wearing a shirt and trousers made of heavy wool. He also wore leather slippers. And in place of his backpack was a leather bag. Wow, said Annie, looking out the window. This really does look like Dark Ages. Jack looked out too. He couldn't see anything through the mist. It's just because the sun's not up yet, he said. I'd better check the book. Remember, because sun rises when the sun comes up. Annie handed the Ireland book to Jack and he opened it and read aloud. In the early Middle Ages were once known as the Dark Ages because learning and culture nearly vanished throughout Europe. Scholars today praise the brave Irish monks who helped the Western civilization alive. What do civilization and monks mean, said Annie. Well, I think civilization is when people have books and art and good manners, said Jack. Monks were religious people who spent their time praying and reading and helping people. Well, I don't see any civilization or monks out there, said Annie, pointing to the mist. Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote down, brave monks in Ireland. Then he looked at Annie. If we find civilization, I think we'll find the lost story, he said. Let's go, said Annie, and she lifted her skirt to climb out the window. Jack read more in the Ireland book. The monks copied the ancient writings of the Western world. Before printing was invented, all books had to be written and copied by hand. Hey, we're on a cliff, said Annie from outside, above the ocean. Be careful, said Jack. He stuffed the Ireland book and his notebook into his leather bag. Then he climbed out the window. Annie was peering over the edge, and Jack looked too. There was a rocky shore 20 feet below. Waves slapped against the rocks. Seagulls swooped and glided above the sea. It doesn't look like there's any civilization down there, said Jack. Maybe we should climb those, said Annie. She pointed to some steep steps that were cut into the cliff. Jack looked up. The cliff also rose above them in the mist. We better wait till the sun comes up, he said. Let's just go super slow, said Annie. She started up the stone steps. Wait, Annie, said Jack. They might be slippery. Whoa, she said, almost falling backwards. I tripped on my darn dress. I told you to wait, Jack said. It's too dangerous. Just then something fell from above. Watch it, said Jack, and he put his hands over his head. It's a rope, said Annie. She saw a thick rope dangling down the stairs. Where'd this come from, he said. I don't know, it's like Morgan dropped the ladder to us, said Annie. I bet someone's trying to help us. Yeah, but who, said Jack. I don't know, let's find out, said Annie. She grabbed the rope. I'll use it first. Once I'm at the top, you can come after me. Okay, but hurry, he said, and be very careful. Jack waited as Annie started climbing up the steps. Okay, so here's a picture. So they're on a cliff, but someone has carved in the stone into the cliff some stairs, but they're kind of wet and stretched because they're so near the ocean, they've got that mist on them, and so someone has thrown down a rope. You can see that Annie and Jack are both holding the rope. Annie held onto the rope as she climbed slowly up the stairs. Soon she vanished over the top of the cliff. What's up there? Jack shouted, but his voice was lost at the sound of the waves. He grabbed the rope and started up the steep steps. At the top of the cliff, he pulled himself over the edge. Aha! Boomed a deep, jolly voice. It's another little invader. Uh-oh. Well, that is the end of chapter 2 of Viking Ships at Sunrise. So we will read some more of this tomorrow, as well as find some new things to read. I hope you enjoyed our bird books today. You can also draw a nest. Maybe you can draw a nest with some eggs in it, right? Just do some zigzag lines, make some eggs, and maybe your little chickens will hatch too, right? Okay, have a great day. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.